目前空前的移民，或是我们称之为叫无证移民，或是美国人所说的非法移民，其实跟你的立场有关。那这些人呢，就是被迫离开家园的人，也空前的从美墨边境给美国很大的压力。这个压力呢，也成为拜登要连任的压力。在反移民里头，永远都是右派的极致，所以当然是属于川普可以得胜的机会。美国的德州州长说：“来看看我们这里，我们所面临的情境比你纽约糟太多了。你现在知道辛苦，你知道我们的痛苦在什么地方？还记得我们所有的人对纽约的记忆叫做自由女神，那也是美国的象征。事实上，自由女神只是一个雕像，她的精神并不见得一直存在在美国。当美国是一个强大的国家，它需要移民的时候，自由女神是它的象征。当美国觉得它自己脆弱，美国人自己都没有足够的工作，美国面临经济危机的时候，自由女神只是一个暗淡的雕像。”
This morning, border towns across America being pushed to the limit again.
Nearly 9,000 migrants were apprehended at the border in one single day. That's the highest number since May.
Down the border in Texas, new drone video showing a crush of migrants crossing the Rio Grande River into Eagle Pass, where today officials declared a state of emergency. And hundreds more are coming. Migrants today on top of this freight train, riding for miles to Ciudad Juarez just across the border from El Paso. Braving the danger just one day after Mexican authorities temporarily suspended train operations after several migrant deaths.
他们拼了命挤上了列车，因为他们以为列车的终点是他们梦寐以求的自由，其实不然。
Tensions high across the country. Police pinning protesters down in New York City, arresting 10 people on Staten Island, many outraged over the influx of migrants into the city.
And as long as you continue to grant them free stuff, you're never going to stop the crisis at the border.
可是纽约不能拒绝。
Because of the city's long-standing policy requiring a place to stay for anyone who asks for it.
This was intended to help homeless people stay off the streets, help families, but it was never intended to be an unlimited universal right and obligation to shelter the entire world.
只要庇护权法还没有修改的一天，纽约就必须接纳无证移民。
Within the last year, 100,000 migrants crossed the southern border, relocating to New York City. The city is still providing services to 60,000 people.
于是，连在曼哈顿中城因新冠疫情关闭的罗斯福酒店，也成了人道主义应急响应和救济中心。即使如此，空房仍一位难求，饭店里里外外都被无证移民挤满。纽约市长亚当斯说，移民危机的额外开支可能造成纽约未来3个财政年度损失120亿美元。
The burden on New York City is too much, quite honestly. We are past our breaking point.
From New York to Illinois to Arizona, states overwhelmed, buses arriving daily. In San Diego County, Border Patrol forced to release about 4,000 migrants in just the past week. Processing centers and shelters filled to capacity. Many dropped off at places like this bus stop. Local officials frustrated, demanding action in Washington.
This isn't a political situation. This is not a left or right issue. This is an immigration system that has failed. As a county, we are not resourced to handle this many people, coming in.
The growing migrant crisis here in New York City may put new pressure on President Joe Biden's re-election bid.
The migrant issue, it has hit home in New York and cities all over the nation.
First and foremost, a nation without borders is not a nation. And we have to secure the southern border of the United States of America. I know how to do it, and we will do it again.
Defund sanctuary cities. You see what's happening in Philadelphia right now. It's gotta stop.
Militarize the southern border, stop funding sanctuary cities, and end foreign aid to Mexico and Central America to end the incentives to come across.
Donald Trump failed on this as well. He said he was going to build a wall across the whole border. He built 52 miles of wall and said Mexico would pay for it. Guess what? I think if Mexico knew that he was only going to build 52 miles, they might have paid for the 52 miles.
And on another hot button issue, immigration, the numbers show only 23% of Americans approve of the president's handling of that situation. All of this is leading to a dismal approval rating for the president, now 19 points underwater.
拜登终于有反应了。
The Biden administration now sending 800 military personnel to the border to help process the arrivals.
Biden administration easing the process for some migrants to get work permits, extending temporary protected status to more than 470,000 Venezuelans arriving in the country before July 31st, allowing them to legally work.
Spent a lot of time with the people in our care. All of them, number one thing they want to do is work. They all have a loved one, and we have jobs. We have 10,000 homemade jobs in this state alone. We have 30,000 hospitality jobs, 5,000 agricultural jobs upstate. There's a lot of jobs that could be filled in New York State alone, let alone across the country.
然而，《华尔街日报》提出 TPS 可能无法成为纽约所希望的灵丹妙药，因为联邦数据显示，尽管委内瑞拉人是占纽约无证移民的最大比例，但是在纽约收容的6万名移民中，只有约1/4是委内瑞拉人，而其他人还有漫长的审核要走。
But the reality on the ground is it might be too little too late. This has been going on since spring of 2022. As your guest just mentioned, they've seen 113,000 migrants come through this city. I spent time in their hospital system last week. This is inundating them. This is overwhelming them. And it's getting to a point where New Yorkers see it in their everyday. I saw children there combing through the trash, trying to get bottles that they could sell for money because they're so desperate for a way to support themselves. So I think it's something to watch here, how New York handles this, how the federal government handles what New York is doing, whether or not they take leadership, and how the sentiment on migrants might be changing even among some progressives or people who maybe previously were sympathetic or apathetic toward migrants, how bringing this number of migrants into American cities might change the way some people view.
这场危机是拜登的无妄之灾吗？不全然是。纽约时报说，不像前总统川普粗暴而直接的说，会不惜一切代价挡下非法入境的大篷车。拜登一方面给中南美洲移民莫名的希望。
I'm going to send a legislative immigration reform bill to Congress to provide a roadmap to citizenship for 11 million undocumented immigrants who contribute so much to this country.
但是实际上，美国申请预约的 App 永远连不上。
Tengo un mes esperando. Todos los días solicito la cita, pero nunca me ha llegado.
是拜登的态度让人们怀抱了不切实际的希望，驱使着人们扶老携幼，不顾安危，冒死进入这个被称作地狱的达连隘口，穿越吉凶的大河。他们千辛万苦地来到美国，以为川普走了，换上拜登就能一圆美国梦。事实是，依据《纽约时报》提出的数据，自申请系统6月开放以来，4万名申请人中，仅3600名移民获得进入美国的机会，成千上万人都被困在了墨西哥恶臭危险的临时帐篷营地。也正因为如此，美南边境一度沉寂的移民大军才又突然暴增。哪怕是辗转来到纽约的人，谁又不是伤痕累累？
For me to see you smiling with everything going on, it's incredible.
Claro, y cuando tengo un trabajo, más sonrisa.
Yes, and when I get a job, I'll be even happier. I'm smiling, he says. I've got to smile so I don't cry.